let's move on to some questions from the chapter data handling. The questions from this chapter is very straightforward and it's pretty simple to solve. So, what is the first step in data handling? Data collection, data presentation, data analysis, and data interpretation. So, what do we have here? So, what to do when we have to, in data handling, what do we do first? So, first we have to collect the data, right? So, first we collect the data and then we have to interpret the data. Let's see what is going on. And then we have to analyze the data, that is data analysis. And then finally we'll present the data, right? So first we have to collect and then we'll interpret what is going on and then we analyze as a whole and then we'll present. These are the steps of data handling, right? So the first step is data collection. Now, if a data set has an even number of observations, how do you find the median? So, to find the median of a data set when there are even number of observations, we'll take the average of the two middle values. The value that appears more frequently, this is mode. The value at the 50th percentile, okay, this is also not the answer. The smallest value in the data set, it's not the answer. So the average of two middle sets, we just talked about this. If we have, let's say, 6 data or 4 data, how do we find the median of this? We actually take the two numbers in the middle. We'll take 2 plus 3 divided by 2. We'll get 3 plus 2 is 5 and 5 plus 2 is 2.5. And we found the median of the data, which is 2.5, right? So we take the average of the two middle values. Now, what is the primary purpose of grouping data? To make the data set smaller, to make the presentation easier, to remove outliers from the data set, to find the mode of the data. So, for this question, actually the 4 of these answers are right. Why? When we group the data set becomes smaller, the presentation would be easier, the outliers would be removed, and the mode of the data, we could easily find it out. Right? We could actually see what is more frequent, right? So 4 of them are the right answers. If we have an option all of the above here, that would be the right answer. Or 4 of them are correct. So all of the above. Now let's move on to the next question. What does the histogram graph display? Frequency distribution of continuous data, grouped frequency of discrete data, probability distribution of continuous data, ungrouped frequency of discrete data. So we know that the histogram graph actually displays, how does a histogram look like? So we just have a graph which is similar to a bar graph, right? So we have a graph like this. But what is this? This is the frequency of an event which is happening, right? And this is like discrete data. So what is discrete and what is continuous? So if I'm saying this is a data, right? It's continuous. Now here it's not continuous, it's discrete. Like we have particular values for every single x value, right? We have discrete y values. It's not a continuous value, right? So it's frequency distribution of continuous data, grouped frequency of discrete data, probability distribution of continuous data, and ungrouped frequency of discrete data. The right answer is ungrouped frequency of discrete data. Now, which type of graph is best suited for comparing two sets of data side by side? So we have two sets of data, so it's very obvious it's a double bar graph. Why? In a pie chart, we have one set of data which have different subsets, right? Now in a bar graph, we have only one thing about one data set. A line graph is also about one data set, right? Now, when we have a double bar graph, we have two sets of data which is expressed together. So, if we have to compare two sets of data, a double bar graph would be more convenient, right? Now, let's move on to the next question. The mode of the data set 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10 is. So what is the mode of a number? A mode of a number is the number or a data which repeats itself more often in a data set. So which is the number which repeats itself more? So let's find the frequency of 3 is equal to 1 because 3 is only given here one time. Frequency of 5 is equal to 3 because it's given here 3 times. frequency of 6 is equal to 1, frequency of 7 is equal to 1, frequency of 8 is equal to 1, frequency of 9 is equal to 2, and frequency of 10 is equal to 1. So which have the higher frequency here? 5 have the higher frequency here, which is 3 times, so the answer for this question is 5. Now, the range of a data set is the difference between the mean and median, the difference between the largest and smallest values, the sum of all data values, and the square root of the variance. So it's a very straightforward question. The range of a data set is the difference between the largest and the smallest value. Now, in a random experiment, what does the sample space represent? So a sample space. So when we are conducting an experiment, we said that there would be set of all possible outcomes, right? So the set of all possible outcomes are known as the sample space in a random experiment, right? Now, what is a random experiment first of all? A random experiment is where we have more than one possible outcomes. So in a random experiment, the sample space represents the set of all possible outcomes. Now, if two events are mutually exclusive, what is the probability of both events occurring? So we have two events which are mutually exclusive. That is one are independent. Both of them are independent of each other. That's mutually exclusive. Now, what is the probability of both events occurring? So we had one event occurring. What is the probability of it? 2. The total probability is 2. Right? If two events are mutually exclusive, what is the probability of both events occurring? Right? So the probability of both events occurring. So in this question, 1 by 2 is the probability of one event to occur, right? And 1 by 2 would be the probability of the second event to happen. So probability of the first event is probability of A, and I'm taking it as probability of B. Now, if both events, the question is both events, right? So both of them have to occur together and they are mutually exclusive, right? So if I'm tossing a coin, is it possible that both heads and tail comes in one, toss? No, it's not. So 0, it won't never happen because they are mutually exclusive, right? So 0 is the probability for both events occurring. Now, in a group of 50 students, the height of 10 students were randomly recorded. What type of data is this? In a group of 50 students, we have the heights of 10 students were randomly recorded, right? What type of data it is? Is it a primary data, secondary data, quantitative data, or discrete data? This is actually quantitative data. Why? Because there's a number of data given, right? Now let's move on to the next question. What is the median of the following data sets? 12, 15, 18, 30, 21 and 24. Here clearly we have 5 number of data. So the median is in what position? There's an equation to find this out. This is equal to number of elements, which is 5 plus 1 by 2 if it's odd. So this is 6 by 2, which is equal to 3. So let's find the number in the third position. This is 18. So 18 is the median of the following set. When we are talking about medians, right, when we are talking about medians, there are two probabilities. The number of elements in data would be odd or it could be even, right? When it's odd, what we do is we actually take the number of elements, let's represent it by n, plus 1 divided by 2. And when it's even, we could take the number of elements, right? Now, we'll take the number of elements divided by 2, right? And then we'll find out which element is this, and we'll take, say this element is A and the next element to it's B. So how do we find it? We take A plus B by 2 and that gives us the median, right? Now, what is the median of the following set? We found the answer here. Now, let's move on to the next question. The following data represents the number of goals scored by a football team in 10 matches. What is the mode, right? So, we have, let's see, what is the frequency of 3 appearing in the data here? We have 1, 2. So, frequency of 3 is 2. Now, what is the frequency of 1 appearing here? We have 1, 2, 3. We have 3. What is the frequency of 0 appearing here? It's only 1. What is the frequency of 2? We have 1, 2 and 3. Frequency of 2 is equal to 3. Now 4, frequency of 4 is actually equal to 1. So frequency of 4 is equal to 1. So we have two numbers with 3 as the frequency, right? So we have 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 would be the mode. Or otherwise we could actually find the median and mode, and we could try calculating it. So median is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it would be 10 by 2 is 5. 10 is an even number, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be in between these two numbers. But there is a catch here. Why? Because we should arrange it in a ascending order to find the median like this, right? If you're arranging it as 0, 1, 2, how many ones are there? We have 0 and we have 3 ones, we have 3 twos, we have 2 threes, and we have 1 4, right? So this is the set of data we have. So what is the, let's write it, simplify it and write it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? We could define the frequency. And so what is the average median of this value? So median would be, we have 5 values, 2 is the median, 2 is the median, and what is the mean? Mean is equal to 0 plus 1, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10 divided by 5, mean is equal to 2, right? Now, what is 3 times median into 2, 6, minus 2 times mode, 4, which is equal to 2. So the mode is equal to 2. Now let's move on to the next question. What is the relationship between mean, mode and median in a perfectly symmetrical data set? So we have mode is equal to 3 times median minus 2 times mean. So mode would be 3 times median minus 2 times, so it would be less than median and mean. So mode would be less than median. Okay, it could be greater than mean, right? So this is the right answer. Now let's move on to the next question. A student recorded the time taken by each student to complete a quiz. The data is as follows: 10, 12, 8, 15 and 13. What is the range of data? Range of data would be, let's arrange it in the ascending order first. So we'll have 8, then we'll have 10, 12, 13 and 15. So we have to group it into ascending order first, right? Now what is the range from 8 to 15? So 15 minus 8. So we have 7 plus 8 is equal to 15. So 7 is the answer for this question. Now let's move on to the next question. What type of data is represented by red, blue, green and yellow? So it is actually a discrete data. So we have red, we have blue, we have green or yellow. It's actually a categorical data too. So both of these would be correct, but the most apt answer would be discrete data. So these are a few questions from the chapter data handling. I hope it's clear. So I hope you will work out a lot of problems from this chapter too.